Salem Dostar. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Singer Dad Reacts. My name is Josh, and I am here to do another Dimash reaction. Sorry it's been so long. It's kind of a full circle moment for me and my channel. So my very first Dimash reaction was actually my second overall reaction on my channel, and it was for the SOS from I Am a Singer. And then later on, I did a reaction to his Slavic Bazaar performance of SOS. And so this is one that I've been wanting to see for a while now. I see the thumbnails for other reactors where, you know, they've reacted to this, and I really wanted to be able to see this performance and to compare it with his other performances. It also fits well into my timeline. So my last reaction I can aid, that one was from 2021, and this performance of SOS that I'm doing is actually also from 2021. So it was a no-brainer for me, I guess. So before I move forward, I wanted to just share a quick story. So I love to introduce people to Dimash in my personal life. And some of my favorites are fellow singers and people like that that are in the music field. And so I'm part of a 33 voice men's choir, and we went on the tour to southern Utah and down into Vegas. And on the tour, we were talking about some of our favorite singers, and I brought up Dimash, and they hadn't heard of him. And so I played Dimash Stranger for a group of guys, and they were just, as you would guess, flabbergasted by just the sheer talent and the control and the variety that he uses in that performance, with the different types of styles and voice techniques and textures and all of that. If you want to see my reaction to The Stranger, it's out on my channel. I think I have close to 35 reactions to Dimash performances on my channel. So anyway, that was really cool to introduce yet another person to Dimash. With that, I'll move forward here in my reaction. If this is your first time watching one of my reactions, or you're new to my channel, one of the things that I do that's unique to other reactors is that I like to go through the lyrics before the reaction and really do my best to discover and learn what the message is behind the lyrics and the song and the story arc and the emotional underpinnings of the song and what it's meant to communicate. So with that, I'm going to dive in with my reading of the lyrics. If you're not into this part of my reaction, that's why I create chapters in my YouTube videos, so you can skip ahead to the reaction. So feel free to do that. For those that are interested, let me bring it up here. So it was interesting to kind of revisit this and learn a little bit more about it. It was originally written by Michael Berger and Luc Plamondon for the rock opera Starmania in 1976. And the English translation that I found says the song title is SOS of an Earthling in Distress. And so it's, why do I live? Why do I die? Why do I laugh? Why do I cry? This is the SOS of an earthling in distress. I've never had my feet on the ground. I'd rather be a bird. I'm not comfortable in my own skin. I'd like to see the world upside down. If ever it were more beautiful, I'm not more comfortable in my own skin. From above, I've always confused life with comic books. It's like I have needs of metamorphosis. I feel something that draws me upward. At the great lotto of the universe, if ever it were more beautiful, I'm not comfortable in my own skin. If ever it were more beautiful, I'm not comfortable in my own skin. From above. And then it repeats itself. Why do I live? Why do I die? Why do I laugh? Why do I cry? I think I'm capturing signals which came from another world. I've never had my feet on the ground. If ever it were more beautiful seen from above. If ever it were more beautiful, sleep, child, sleep. So one of the things that I read regarding how Dimash's interpretation of this song is a little bit different said that he's more focused on kind of the emotional outreach of the person singing this song, right? The, desperation and the emotional angst and the trying to reach for someone to kind of help them and struggling with their challenges and things like that, rather than kind of this more kind of otherworldly type interpretation. So that's kind of what you sense when he sings it is from the other two performances I watched of this is his deep longing coming through for some security, for some love, from some connection with someone, right? He's kind of this SOS is more kind of an emotional SOS, if you will. So that's kind of my take on how Dimash is interpreting this song, and I'm assuming that this performance will be similar in that way, right? So with that, I'm going to go right into the reaction here. If you are new to my channel, or if you haven't already, if you could please click on the subscribe button and also the notification bell, so that you can be notified of any of my new reactions. I'm trying to get ramped up with my reactions. Life's been quite crazy lately, but I'm determined to jump right in and do more. So, and you can help me with that by giving me your suggestions down in the comments of what Dimash reactions you'd like to see me react to. I would prefer if you could kind of keep me on track with my timeline. So if you want to give me something that I just can't miss from 2021 or something from 2022, I'm determined to catch up with the current stuff Dimash is doing in his timeline chronologically. So please help me to do that. And I'm going to try to release more reactions to Dimash, closer together so that they're not so far apart. So thank you again for your patience. Here we go. Again, this is Dimash singing in, I believe, January of 2021. And it was an online concert that was provided as a digital show. So that's where this concert comes from.
Je vis, pourquoi je meurs, pourquoi je ris, pourquoi je pleure.
Oh, that's a little different.
Voici le SOS, tant d'ayant en détresse.
I love how each performance that Dimash does, because I've watched other performances where he's done the same song but in a different time period. So he'll do it and then he'll do another cover of it later. And every time that he's done that, he's changing it up. He's not just singing it the exact same way but better. He's singing it differently. He's adding little riffs or changing things up a little bit. Maybe that's rhythmically or the textures that he chooses for different, parts of the phrasing, right? So, and you saw a little bit of that right there, where he kind of add a little bit of a flowery riff right there on that opening. And I think it seems to me from kind of watching his progression that his breath control, his ability to have full control of the onset. The onsets is where it's like he can have a breathiness, or he can have a glottal onset, or these different types of the ways that he's approaching um, how the sound is coming out, and the texture of it and how it sounds, right? So what he did right there reminded me actually of Stranger, where he kind of, in that first phrase of the Stranger, where he's singing, and the very end of the phrase, he like adds a lot of breath leading on the end of the tone at the end of the phrase, right? And if I'll go back a little bit, you'll hear what I'm talking about. But that's really hard. As a vocalist, I can tell you that's very hard to do, because you've got to keep the energy there, and the breath has to maintain. So you have to be connected to the sound, and then continue to push that out, but have it be just really breathy and then kind of fade out. That takes a lot of control. So I'll go back really quick here.
Was in SOS, tant d'ailleurs en détresse. Plus jamais eu que sur
It's
terre.
effortless. Yeah, so he changed the rhythm right there too. Yeah, he changed the end of that phrase as well, because on the other one he went, oh, in the other versions of it. So he took out those last two notes there on the end. I also noticed, like, on the high part, do 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 do, that part right there, um he's making that a lot kind of lighter and more, um he's adding a little bit of staccato to that, so it's more kind of, it's less kind of legato, less kind of flowing, and more kind of a little bit more emphasis on each of the notes through that phrase. So again, he's just he's taking a masterpiece that he's done, and he's improving it and adding new things to it and different textures, and making it a unique piece of art, if you will, to carry the analogy through. So he's just amazing. It's effortless for him. See how it's softer and more. Yeah, see, he just stops right there. Sorry to stop it right there, but I just wanted to point out one of the things you learn as a vocalist, and the director I have for my choir he's a genius on this stuff, but the positioning of the mouth as it relates to the sound and how that comes out is very important. And Dimash is a master of that, right? And if you notice on the high part where you're saying the note there, the kind of high, the powerful note there, he puts his mouth kind of like with his lips more forward, and his mouth is open and his lips are kind of forward and round. And so he's creating the shape. Imagine, like, the analogy I would use is when you are the sprayer on my sink in my kitchen, right? There's different holes and different ways that you can, it's the shower head's the same type of thing, right? You determine how the water is sprayed to accomplish different things. Does it come out in a bunch of even spurts? Does it come out like, just all around the outside? That's kind of what you're dealing with. Imagine now the water is the sound. So the outside is the outside of the shower head. The tongue inside is kind of like what happens with those holes in the shower, right? So you can do different things with the tongue that control how the sound comes out. Just like, I've talked about this before, but you can put your lips like this. Ooh, now you can make that an E, and I'll have to keep the same shape with my mouth. E. Oh, so you can just change your tongue and the placement of it, whether it's back, forward, high, low, whatever you do in there, you can just shape the sound that way. So he's doing all of those things at a master level. And so I'll go back so we don't miss anything. I know we stopped in an awkward spot here, but I just happened to notice that. Let's watch it again and you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Look at his mouth.
Je te jure qu'on fondait la vie avec nos bandes dessinées. Chacun de son fil, tu métamorphoses. Je sens quelque chose qui m'attire.
It never gets old. Wow. Sorry, I'm stopping it so much. This is part of what I have to do as a YouTube reactor. I've explained it in other videos, but if I don't stop periodically, then this video will be blocked. Worst case scenario, you won't see it at all. Or it might get to the point where I have to put some kind of transparency over it so that the video is clouded with a little blurb on there, due to copyright or whatever. So there's different levels of copyright that they kind of put down. So that's part of why I have to stop periodically. But yeah, he's mixing it up a little bit with the phrasing and doing things a little bit differently on this one. There's one interesting thing I wanted to point out. I'll go back a little bit and show you.
Je te jure qu'on fondait la vie avec nos bandes dessinées.
One of the things I wanted to point out is he's making this even more pop, right? In the original SOS from the I Am Singer performance, you could tell that he was kind of adding his own kind of pop spin to it, but it wasn't as pronounced as what you see here. Like he's really kind of, making it more kind of, like the pop sound is more kind of choppy and less kind of full and rich, and with the larynx is down and the sound is darker and all that, with more of the operatic style. So he's doing even more of that to kind of make it more of a contrast with this section. That's one of the things I noticed I wanted to just point out real quick.
Chacun de son fil, tu métamorphoses. Je sens quelque chose qui m'attire.
That cutoff was perfect. Oh, that was cool. Again, he's changing the ends of these phrases where he normally goes, That's really cool that he's kind of just making this singular performance kind of different in the way that he's interpreting that last part of that phrase. Really cool. Okay, let me just go back one little bit. That was different. What did he do? Did he pull the microphone away from his mouth? I have to look at that again. Because it usually, like, he has kind of where he goes up. You can hear those notes as he goes up into the whistle tone there. But That was different. And this thing behind him, that is so cool. It's like wings or something. If any of you have any comments along the way where you're like, oh, yeah, Josh, this is this or that, because you guys are so knowledgeable about all things Dimash, and you probably know all about like what all this means behind him and how they did it and all that. But he did something different on this. Let me go back real quick. Okay. That's a cool reverb. Oh, they are wings. Oh, he's talking. Oh yeah, he mixed this up a little bit too. Wow. Yeah, he's just doing different things melodically, rhythmically, making this one completely unique to the others that I've watched. It's phenomenal. I think what he did is he did pull the microphone away a little bit on that phrasing there with when he goes up to the high note. And I think part of that is to emphasize the high note as they added the reverb in. So that probably makes it also easier for the sound engineer, because then the sound engineer can just wait for that pause where he pulls the microphone away. That might be like a cue to them for them to say, okay, turn on the reverb for the high note. And then they turn it on, and when he comes back, then he's singing the whistle tone, and then it reverbs, right? So that could be why they did it that way, one of the reasons. So there's a lot that goes into these types of performances, right? So let's see what he's got next. Here he goes. So one of the things he did on this, and that he did earlier as well, that I love to see, and I've pointed out with other performers and also with Dimash, is kind of the use of the body to like express yourself, right? I've seen him several times in the song where he kind of does this thing with his hand, where he kind of like, he'll shake it like this, or he'll kind of extend it out as a gesture to kind of like emote something about what he's singing, and this kind of gesture of reaching out, of kind of stretching to gain that emotional stability, or reach out to somebody to help you in need, right? That's kind of the message of the song, as we talked about. But also kind of feeling the music, right? So his hand kind of is in line with what he's singing, right? It kind of moves like this in line with his voice. And I've also noticed him in other songs where you can see him actually kind of directing the orchestra or the instrumentalist or whatever. So that, I don't think that that's what's happening here, but it's just a little thing I noticed there. Let me go back. You can kind of see what I'm talking about. See his hand? Again with the reverb. It's cool. Ooh. Wow. Okay. So he did kind of what similar to what he did before at the beginning of the song on that last phrase, but even it was slightly different, right? There wasn't as much breathiness in it to the tone as far as the how he and then the breath just comes in. There was less of that, so it was just soft. That's even harder what he just did there, actually, because before it was just he just applied the breath quite a bit at the end of the phrase, just to kind of let it fade out. But in this case, he's actually doing like he's keeping the strength behind it, right? So the sound is connected and resonant and coming forward, but yet it's just slowly decreasing in volume and just until it just dies out. That is extremely difficult to do because you've got to have phenomenal, control in your diaphragm and your larynx and everything have to be working in synchronization with that and the soft palate and all that stuff to kind of allow the sound to come through because you're still pushing with power, but you're applying less sound to come out. So it's softer quality. So there's a lot of mechanics going on there that you have to really work hard on to really master to be able to do what he just did. So just phenomenal. Wow. He's always just, I've said it before, but we get spoiled with Dimash. We really do. Because he's just so incredible. And we expect him to just kind of up that level because he set that expectation, right? That's what he does. Every performance I've seen, it's almost like as we go through his journey chronologically, he's better and better, at each performance in some way, right? So it's just unbelievable to me because when he first started out on my first reaction that I did from 2017, he was incredible and amazing. And people called him an alien, right? Because they were just like, how is this guy doing what he does? And he just continues to improve on that. And he works on all these different aspects of his performance, right? Bring more emotion, change things up in the phrase. And there's, I'm sure, reasons behind everything that he does where he's thought it through and he's not just showing off or, showing us how well he can use breath control or, whatever. There's some reason behind it that he's thought about and that has some deeper meaning to him, right? Because that's just the type of performer that he is. Wow. Yeah. So as usual, I'm just stupefied by how amazing Dimash is. And I'm excited to continue on my journey with him as he grows and progresses from this point in his career, and excited to bring you along with me. And like I said, please let me know what your recommendations are for what you want me to react to next for Dimash. I'll end my reaction as I do with all of them by reaching out to you across the world to let you know that you are special, you are loved, and you can accomplish your dreams. And I hope that deep down, each of you knows that, and that there are people that love and care for you. And I hope that you have the support you need around you. And I hope in some small way my channel can help in some way to inspire you, to light your world, and to establish a community where we can come together and feel that inspiration and that light that can come through music as we experience it together. So thanks again for your support and patience with me, and take care.